Eddie,
Ethan.
what's your name?
My name's Eddie.
My name's Ethan, and we are those nerds you know.
Maybe.
Woo! Welcome down, everyone. Welcome to...
Maybe this is a different people for a spin-off or something.
Indeed.
Oh, man. Transition.
Maybe you're David's spin-off.
Oh, my God. That's a mind blow right there, isn't it?
Excellent. Welcome down, everyone. Hope you've had a fantastic week. Hope you enjoyed our last episode, which was a peek behind the curtain at our archives of me and David's conversations prior to him leaving. We talked about My Hero Academia last week. And I feel it is only fitting that this week we talk about the spin-off manga of My Hero Academia called My Hero Academia Vigilantes.
Or illegals in Japanese.
Illegals, is that what it's called? That's really cool.
It might be no illegals. I think it's I can't remember if it's no illegals or illegals. It's probably illegals since it's Vigilantes.
Right. That's really cool. Fun, man. So, let me set the stage for you. If any of you haven't listened to our My Hero Academia...
you should.
You totally should.
Even
and you
though
should
I'm
watch
not in it. I
all
endorse
of
it. I endorse
yes.
it.
It was a good episode. Watch all of the anime that's out right now. You've got 2 seasons of it, and read the manga. The manga is a little bit farther ahead of the anime at the moment.
However, season 3 is coming out in January.
Yep, sure is.
Holy crap,
Super
that's so
excited.
soon.
It's real soon. Yeah, so all this is in prep for that. We'll be able to watch some of that and record our podcast on that after that comes out. So, anywhoozles, in this world of My Hero Academia, in the world we've set up, it's Earth, but 80% of the population is born with what's called quirks, which we can basically equate to superpowers.
One superpower.
Each person has one thing usually.
Spoiler.
Sometimes it's you can breathe fire. Some people can fly. Some people are super strong. Some people can grow really big. Some people have
things with their minds.
Yeah. Some people have claws for hands.
Some animal traits.
Some people have a tail.
Or just are animals with human qualities.
Yes. Some people have pointy ears. It ranges and varies wildly from really, really useful and cool crime fighting things to really mundane, kind of boring things, and everything in between. And it's super fun. And the main series, which again we talked about last week, but quick rehash is about a main character who's born without a quirk, who acquires a quirk. And
Midoriya.
Yeah, goes through basically a high school for heroes to become a hero, and it's basically his story about how he became the Hokage or whatever.
The greatest superhero of all, after all
time. Yep, he became king of the pirates and completed his hero's journey. But we haven't seen it all yet, so the anime is him telling the story of what happened and what's going on. It's really cool. It's really fun, very engaging. Go listen to our episode about it if you want to see us talk about that.
It's very good. What
we're here to talk about today, which will have plenty of overlap, is My Hero Vigilantes. The other interesting, the thing that's really interesting about the world of My Hero Academia is that there's a setup system for heroes.
It's a law system. They must have licenses.
Yep.
If you don't have a license, you can't do hero things in public.
Yeah, it's true. Yeah, like the general rule is that like the law is that you're not supposed to use your quirks basically ever, and the only people who are allowed to use their quirks are sanctioned heroes, people sanctioned by the state. They go through a process of learning how to use their quirks. They take a test, they get a license, like you said, and there's plenty of different like hero like firms. Is that what they call them? They're just like they're different groups of people that work as heroes and do different things. There's like there are rescue heroes that specialize in rescue, heroes that specialize in construction,
rebuilding things,
taking down bad guys, all these different things. And so it's interesting because here in most superhero things we know about,
which isn't much,
right?
Not much
Well, that was Freddy, but and what we're exposed to in the West, Marvel and DC. All the heroes in those universes are heroes that are in your basic Earth universe where what they're doing is essentially illegal. Not many of them are very well sanctioned by the government.
Not yet,
for the most part, yeah. So we understand that most of them are in this universe where what they're doing is good and great and really awesome and fun to watch on TV, but technically Superman is like a criminal. Yeah. He's a vigilante. He's taking the law into his own really super powerful masculine hands.
It's true. His glowing light beacon of hope hands.
Yes. And so in My Hero Academia, it's sort of turned around so that as long as you're sanctioned by the government, you're fine. You're doing your hero thing. That's great. But that creates another area where a gray area, if anyone does use their quirk for good reasons, but still doesn't have the sanction from the government, they are still technically a criminal. They are still vigilantes. Mm-hmm. And that is what this spin-off series is about. It's about a small group of vigilantes, and it is so much fun. I love it, and so yeah, obviously spoilers, again, we mentioned this before, but when we talk about things, we spoil them, so plenty of spoilers. I've read all 19 chapters that are available at the moment.
I've read 3.
Eddie's read 3.
Ethan's going to tell me about it.
I'm going to tell you so many things, Eddie. And hopefully everyone who's listening has read it. If not, just pause, go read it all. It doesn't take long, and
it's
come
free.
back. It's free. That's one of the greatest things about it.
It's on viz.com,
right?
Viz Media's website.
Yep, Viz Media's website. Also on their, they have an app that you can get for all their manga.
That might actually be better. I might actually have to go back and read on my phone instead.
It's quite nice.
It's kind of boring sitting at the computer just flipping through.
Yeah, I didn't read on the computer at all.
pages.
I read entirely on my phone. But yeah, it's great. It's entirely free for anybody. It doesn't matter if you have a subscription to Shonen Jump or anything. It's just free. Just get on their little app and read it. It's great. You can download it all. Perfectly legal and free.
And translated.
And translated, yes.
So
well
you don't
translated.
have to read Japanese. Oh, man.
Excellent. And I believe they announced that it's been cleared for a physical publishing of next spring, which I will buy all of.
Which will eventually become an anime adaptation.
Yeah, I'm sure. I hope. I want it so bad. It's so cool, Eddie. I love it.
It's pretty interesting what I've seen so far. Mm-hmm. It's a good, nice dynamic between the main character and his higher up person he looks to. Yep. All Might and My Hero Academia.
Yep. Excellent.
And yeah.
So I think in My Hero Academia, our main character is Deku, and everyone's ability to empathize and sympathize with him is buried in the fact that he's born with no quirk. So he's like all of us normal people, right?
He's a normal weirdo.
We ain't got no superpowers, but we love superheroes, and we want to be one, and that is Deku. That is who he is.
However, his reality is that they are all around him in physicality, as opposed to us who have just anime to watch.
Yep, we go to movies that we like and sometimes don't like, and then we complain about it on the internet. That's
fine.
It's all right. But Deku's really cool. He has no powers, but he spent most of his life idolizing heroes and trying to become a hero and wishing he could become a hero. And now he's finally given this chance. He's given a quirk, and he's given the ability to go into high school for heroes.
A prestigious high school.
A prestigious high school, a very good one, so that he can be prepared to take his test when he gets older. And basically, he's put on the fast track to becoming a hero when he becomes an adult and graduates and all that jazz, which is cool.
I actually have a theory about Deku, but I'll get into
a fan
that later.
theory.
Yeah, fan theory.
Well, why not now?
Okay, fine. Hey, I think Deku had a quirk.
Oh,
I think he was born with super luck.
Ha!
Yeah.
All right.
And he now has 2 quirks.
Okay.
And that's why he became the most powerful superhero.
Okay.
Because a lot of things lined up in a very fortunate way to him.
Yes, that's true, yeah.
And a lot of things that have happened ever since he's gotten...
right, since he's gotten...
One for All.
One for All, yeah.
A lot of things have lined up pretty nicely for him.
I'd say that's true. That's accurate.
So if he had super luck, it's not manifestationable, or it's not like he can't manifest that.
Gotcha.
And you can't see that. Things just happen.
That's really cool.
But I think he's got 2 quirks now.
Cool.
So calling it now, right here.
You heard it here first. Exclusive scoop.
Oh man,
those nerds, That's really cool. Yeah. All right, we'll see that play out, I guess. That's neat. So in Vigilantes, we open with Koichi, who is the main character. I don't remember his last name, but I really like this kid. He is he's in college, so he's past high school and all that. He's basically a broke college kid, working a part-time job, trying desperately to get through college, get a degree.
Getting beaten up at the job.
Yes, that's true. He gets picked on. He's not very... he's not the coolest kid around. Not very good with talking to people, I guess. And he has a quirk. And he also loves All Might. Like, he idealizes All Might the way Deku kind of does. But in even more, even like a slightly different but also otaku nerd kind of way.
Yeah.
Like, he collects a lot of memorabilia. He specifically collects a lot of hoodies. There are All Might hoodies that have like All Might's crazy little hair thing going off the top of his off the hoodie. It makes him look like a bunny rabbit basically when he wears the hoodie, but it's still cool, I guess. And like, I don't know, you've only read 3 chapters, but later on we learned that there are like just dozens of versions of this hoodie. Like, one comes out every year, or
that's
like
great.
Almost every quarter, and he has like all of them.
That's funny. That's great.
It's super great. And that's what he wears when he goes out and does his heroing stuff. And so when he goes out, he enjoys going out and using his quirk to help people. But it mostly amounts to basically like the montage at the beginning of the Spider-Man movie, Spider-Man Homecoming this year.
Yeah, just doing neighborhood things.
Yeah.
Cleaning up the trash, as they say multiple times.
Someone drops a phone, he goes and picks it up. Because his quirk is a mobility quirk in that he can slide around on things. He can hover slightly over stuff and slide.
About as fast as a bicycle.
Right.
Yeah.
As long as he is touching it in 3 places, i.e. a foot and 2 hands, or 2 feet and a hand. As long as he's making contact with 3 of his limbs on whatever surface it is, he can slide across that. And yeah, it mostly amounts to him just zipping around on the ground. He looks like he gets a couple of different names. He wants to be called the Crawler. Most people call him the Cruller. And at first he's called like the Cockroach.
Yeah, the Cockroach.
Because he's just milling around on the ground, zipping. And like, at first I thought it was like something that he had to push himself to do, like he had to kick to propel himself, but I don't think that's the case. I think he actually just hovers and then he can move.
Yeah.
He is a hoverboard, essentially.
Yeah.
Which is interesting.
Yeah. But he has to maintain contact, so he's not
does.
hovering.
Yeah. He's well, it's a strange thing because like when you get a close up later on, and when we start digging into what his quirk really is, he is creating a barrier between himself and the ground.
Interesting.
Or whatever it is. It's a slight hover thing. If I can, there's a picture. I'm gonna look up a picture. We're gonna have some typing. Okay.
Google it.
This thing. So this is he.
Oh yeah.
He has these little like halos underneath his hands.
I see.
And that's more or less what they attribute it to. Him just
Little
kinda,
suction cups.
yeah.
Well, they're not. They don't suck. They just
They do the
magnetize.
Yeah. So, just the basics of this show, or this manga, is him doing this stuff that he feels like is necessary. It's the only thing that makes him really feel happy is using his quirk to help other people. But he's not sanctioned. So technically, even though he's going around helping old ladies across the street and doing all these wonderful, nice things, he is technically a criminal for doing it, which is just hilarious because he is Spider-Man. He's not doing anything.
Yeah.
Just your friendly neighborhood crawler man. Not doing anything really to hurt anyone.
And they don't seem too strict about it. Like, there's a police officer incident where he's like, you shouldn't be using your quirk in public, blah, 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 blah. But, I mean, nobody really minds him doing it.
And so he ends up having an altercation with some gangsters, some little hoods around the neighborhood, which draws in allows us to see the 2 other heroes that are going to be, or vigilantes, pardon my language, that are going to be joining his team. One is Knuckle Duster, who is like, if you can imagine Bruce Wayne with no money whatsoever, but still a hardcore grudge against crime. That is what this man is. He wears like a Daredevil season 1 style mask over his face, except he has holes for his eyes because he's not blind. And he just wears brass knuckles and he beats the crap out of people. And we learn a little bit later on. Does Aizawa show up in your 3 chapters?
No.
Okay, so Eraserhead shows up later on.
Oh yeah, no, sorry. He does. He does.
Cool. Aizawa shows up later on during the tussle.
I know him as Eraserhead. It's
yes.
like, his name is completely obliterated from him.
Aizawa, aka Eraserhead, who's a main player in the actual show, shows up later on in an altercation between these little vigilantes and some of the villains, like low villains on the street, because he's just like going to get groceries essentially, and this happens around him.
It's on his day off.
Yes,
he's
right.
being a good Samaritan.
He was just helping everybody out, and he like there's a little monologue inside of Eraserhead's mind that we get to read through, and it's just like he stared at this man, Knuckle Duster, and tried to prevent his quirk from happening, but nothing happened. He's apparently quirkless.
Apparently,
he's just got a whole lot of tenacity. Which is really cool, interesting to see. And the other one is Pop Step, who also has a normal name, but I don't remember her normal name. She is
she jumps real high.
She jumps really high. That's her quirk. She can jump super high, and she can land safely from those large heights.
She's a pseudo pop star. Apparently.
Indeed, she is a YouTube personality. That is what she's here for. She's trying to become an idol via just YouTube, and so she has these impromptu, unsanctioned performances where she'll like tweet out like, I'm gonna be here, and all of her followers on YouTube or Twitter will show up, and she'll do a quick thing for like half a song before the police are like, hey, you can't do that here, get out of here, and she just jumps away. And she's
her songs are bad. Apparently
her songs are bad. She's also very annoying. I'm not a super huge fan of this character, but she's fine, I guess. I think in all reality, I don't even know if she contributes a whole lot to the fighting. She just she acts as a scout. I think she often acts as a distraction, maybe, which is easy to pull off, and what she's wearing, I'm sure. And then Knuckle Duster and the Crawler, Koichi, are the two that really typically get in all the tussles whenever they start actually fighting hoodlums and villains and criminals and things of that nature.
Which is unfortunate. She's a damsel in distress. At least the first time that I see her.
Yeah, that's true. The first time we encounter her, that's accurate. But some really interesting people get introduced later on in the series, and it does a lot of really fun things that I'm going to go ahead and talk about. And the thing I like about this series is that these are street level people, so we get to enjoy that part of this world. It's just, I really love world building, and I'm a sucker for it. And so I find that this spinoff, as opposed to other spinoffs that I have seen or heard about, does better because of the timeline, which I don't know if you would know much about. We essentially get the idea that this timeline is before the first major arc of the first season. It's before the hero killer.
Okay.
Thus far, the first 19 chapters have been, and it is probably. It could possibly be before Deku even gets into high school, but it's around the same time.
Okay.
So it could be, their first...
before the supervillains even attack the school, probably.
Probably. Yeah. Probably so. It's somewhere in that time. Because the reason we know that is because another hero that shows up is Ida Tenya's older brother, Ingenium.
Who is actually impaired right now.
Yeah, he's fully functional when we see him. He's great, and we get to see him do quite a lot of stuff, which is awesome. I feel it's really, really cool because he ends up acting more of a mentor, more of an actual legitimate mentor to Koichi the Crawler later on. Teaches him, because we learn like the reason that's, you mentioned earlier that Koichi can only go about as fast as a bicycle. That's not actually true. That's just as fast as he's been willing to go because he doesn't know how to stop.
Oh yeah.
And so
he did mention that.
And Zinnium kind of tries to encourage him and helps him to go faster and also be able to brake. Yeah. It's a really funny scene when it first happens because like Color's just like, he knows that no one's. I'm gonna keep calling him Cruller because that's what everyone calls him. I'm sorry, Koichi, I love you.
If you're listening.
They live in like a really slum part of town, and so he knows that no one's gonna be out on the streets at certain times of the day so that's when he goes out and he practices his quirk. And one day there's a jogger out, and he just passes the jogger really easily and really quickly, and the jogger just catches up to him immediately, and we find out that's Ingenium. It's really funny, and he's like, "Hey, you can you go any faster?" It's really funny. It's real cool.
That sounds actually really funny.
It's a fun time. It's a really good time. And like he shows up for a chapter, he even like gives him a card, and he's like, "Hey, let me know when you're done with school," because he finds out in college. He's like, "Give us a call. Give my firm a call whenever you're done with school. We'll talk about getting you in." To be a hero or to be a sidekick or like an internship kind of thing, which is really cool. And then at the end of that chapter, he finds out that he's the Crawler, and he's like, "Yeah, good work, but I'm gonna need that card back." It's so funny. And then later on, we see him again, and we see Ingenium with him again, I thought he was just going to show up for that one chapter, but he actually shows up again. It's really fun. So he's a recurring character. So obviously, because he's there, we know that this is prior to, or not caught up with entirely, the main show. The main
arc line.
Another thing another hint we get is that we actually meet Stained. We get a smidge of his origin story. Before he was going by Stained, before he was a villain, he was essentially also a vigilante, but a murderous vigilante. He was the Punisher. He was the Punisher to Cruller's Daredevil, right? Gotcha. And just murders a couple people in front of us, and they're like, "No, this is no good. This is real bad." And then it's really cool the way they introduce it, because we have no idea who this person is. He's just running around cutting people up with a sword. He has a mask on. We can't see him. And then, in the moment, they were trying to get one of the people they run into early on, one of the hoods, ends up not really becoming their friend, but becoming a guy that they're kind of like okay with, because they understand that he's just a hood. He's not a criminal. He's not a supervillain. He's not trying to kill anybody. He's just not the best guy in the world. And this guy becomes a target for Stained. And so they're trying to get him away from it. So their essential goal is just to run. So they turn and they book it. They run away from him. And he's already cut one of them. And he licks the blood. And he freezes him. And I'm like, holy crap! Because at this point we hadn't had any inkling that this might have been Stained or anyone that we know.
Gotcha.
And it was nuts. It was so crazy. And then later on we see a scene where he has like this mental break because his knuckle duster just punches him square in the face and breaks his mask, and it cuts his face a lot. And so he just has this mental break where he's just like, nah, you know what? None of these people deserve to live. Yeah.
To heck with it.
We're going to kill everybody who's not a real hero. And he gets it in his mind that All Might's the real hero, and then he walks off. And that is Stained.
That also gives his brother, what's his name?
Which brother?
Blue-haired guy, the one you were just talking about.
Ida Tenya?
Yeah, Ida.
Okay,
Ida's brother. Jesus. Ida's brother more inclined to go and attack him in the main arc, or at least bring him in. That gives connection there, so that's pretty good.
Yeah, it's crazy. But it's so cool. This show's been this manga's been really, really fun to read through, because it gives you a different side. It's not this big punch out tournament style anime manga where every episode, every chapter, there's this big world at stake event, or where everybody's fighting and there's all kinds of crazy action going around. It's just sort of day in, day out slice of life with a little bit of extra darkness and action to it, and I really enjoy that. It's fun watching Koichi learn and watching him get better and watching his interactions with other people. Another character that comes in, the detective that's close friends with All Might.
The dog guy?
Not the dog guy, the human.
His underling.
Correct. I don't remember his name. He has a sister who is a journalist. She's big on this vigilante case.
That's a big trope in the superhero world.
It's interesting, right? Yeah. And so she gets introduced later on. She's also, she's like a student of journalism, because she is Koichi's senpai at school. She eventually learns that he's the crawler, and that his little posse are the vigilantes of the, I think it's the Neuro. I don't remember the name of the place that they're in, but they're called the vigilantes of this neighborhood, of the whatever neighborhood that they're in. That's what they're being referred to as. And so that brings me to the main plot of this, which is really interesting. Was there a drug called Trigger introduced in My Hero Academia? Okay.
Oh, no. It wasn't mentioned.
For some reason, I heard it was mentioned there. I didn't think it was either. But I was like, I
mean, it might have been like indirectly referred to without a name,
possibly,
but no direct correlation.
So there's a drug called Trigger that essentially, I don't know,
makes instant villains.
Yes. It ups your quirk. It brings your quirk up to like its maximum level of potency, but it also decreases one's ability to rationalize and reason normally. So they go nuts, and then all their power breaks loose. And they've been the people that have been peddling this drug have been like systematically divvying it out to different gangsters and hoods in the neighborhood to test it, essentially. Stained was also kind of part of that. They were just testing his ability to kill things and to take people out, essentially, to take villains out by creating these pop-up villains and then having them kill people. It's really intriguing. And so there's this little middle school girl that's introduced later on, and her quirk is real strange. She has an eye patch. Like, you gotta have at least one character with an eye patch.
Of course.
Under that eye patch, she can store, it seems, a plethora of bees that bend to her will. It's real strange. And they seem really they seem somewhat mechanical. I don't know. But because a lot of them end up having these little syringes on the end full of the trigger virus or the trigger drug. So she just has it delivered to people and unwillingly sticks people with this trigger drug.
Instant villain bees.
Yes, exactly. That's precisely what it is, and we get into a whole lot of trouble with that. And it's interesting to watch because we have we have the trigger thing. We have their own arc that's going on. They're fighting, essentially trying to figure out where Trigger's coming from, why they're doing it, and in the meantime fighting off all the villains that are being brought up by it without killing them, like Sting was doing, while also trying not to be caught by the cops. Because technically, again, what they're doing is illegal. They're vigilantes
or pro heroes.
Oh, the pro heroes, correct? Because sometimes the pro heroes are all right with them, and they're like, okay, fine. Like, because there's one of the more recent chapters was when Ingenium comes back, and he tells them not to get involved because he's aware of who they are at this point. But there comes a point where like they need someone else with a mobility quirk that can keep up with Ingenium and Crawler's it, and so he has to go help him, which is really cool when we learn a little bit more about Crawler's quirk. It's really, really cool. There's this moment of just extreme stress and tense, and where he needs to be able to jump higher than what he is physically capable of, and what he ends up doing is causing a little burst of like hover out of his foot. So he basically equates to a double jump. So he jumps off of nothing. He just gives him a little boost in midair, which is really cool.
Got a Sanji thing going on.
Yeah. And so, man, that's way back. Holy crap. I don't know. So I don't read One Piece.
Yeah, no, it's Sanji from One Piece can like skip on air and stuff.
Okay, cool.
So, yeah. Just let you know.
I haven't read One Piece since like when they first met Sanji.
Okay, well, yeah, no. Sanji can like he forces willpower into his legs and he kicks up into the air and he can basically just fly.
I guess that makes a little more sense. Yeah, I mean I say I haven't read it since I met him, but that's not exactly true. Yeah. Last thing I left off on there was a shark guy with a spiky nose.
It's
just way far back. But
Sanji.
Is it before?
That's before.
But
Sanji.
I know who Sanji is, so I must have read farther than that.
I mean, possibly. There's another arc after.
Is it immediately
the halfway
after that?
point? No. It's like halfway point in the whole story. Like it's like 10 years after.
When did Sanji come in?
It was after Usopp, which is after Nami. Nami is where, no, Usopp was first, then Nami. I don't know. It's one of those. So long ago. Sanji's after Usopp and Nami. Then we get Chopper. Then we get Frankie.
And Sanji, what is Sanji's position?
Cook.
He's a cook. Okay,
He's
that's
the
what I thought.
chef.
Okay, so I know this about him, which means I must have seen that. And I don't know who Chopper is. So like,
you don't know who Chopper is? Oh
no, Eddie.
Wow.
Again, yeah, like, that must legitimately
between
be where
Sanji and Chopper is where you stop.
Yeah, that's legitimately where
it was funny because like the first chapter, I don't know if it was the 0 chapter or the first chapter, but there's a character like on the first image of the manga, and there's an old guy with a straw hat who has stretchy arms, and I was like, that's Luffy. That's funny. But yeah, Luffy was in the manga with a beard, and he looked older, but it was definitely
funny. Holy crap.
Definitely Luffy. But anyway,
we digress together simultaneously.
Double jump from
double jump, right? Yeah. So then, because we've also learned, well, we've learned in the manga of the main story, My Hero Academia, that what they're having Do you care about spoilers?
Yeah, no, that's fine.
Okay.
Go ahead.
In like the first volume after where the anime leaves off in the manga, they're at a summer camp, right? And we talked about this in the previous one, but like one of the things they have them do is all the kids do is to practice using their quirks and running their quirks to their limits, their absolute limits, and pressing through that. And that's how you train your quirk. So like up till now, they've been training their minds, they've been training their bodies to keep up with their quirks. Now they're actually legitimately training their quirk itself. And so there's this big 2-page spread of like everybody doing something crazy, like Kaminari's like holding onto a battery and shocking something, and like homegirl that can produce things from her body is like eating things while producing stuff as fast as she can, and the sugar guy next to her is eating sugar while lifting weights and all that nonsense. Everyone's just pushing themselves to their absolute limit. And that's what we start seeing them do with Koichi, because like later on we see him, so he lives in a really piss poor little apartment on the roof of a building, and they train on the roof. And he's sitting there and he's doing his best to push himself as high off the ground as he can. He was getting like 30 centimeters up off, and he's just like straining really hard. It was really cool. So we see that his quirk has more than what we've been led on to believe, and that he definitely has potential to do better. It's just that it's such an interesting dynamic, because whereas we're seeing Deku, a person with no quirk, given a chance to go through training and receive a quirk, now we're seeing someone who has a quirk who with no training doing their best to figure things out on their own, and that's really, really cool. It's also cool that Knuckle Duster, for better or worse, his mentor Knuckle Duster has no quirk whatsoever, which is interesting. It's cool. It's cool to see. I hope Pop Step becomes a little bit more involved. Right at the moment, she's like an angry girl that has a crush on this kid.
Ugh, the love interest.
Yeah, sort of. Not even though, because the senpai, the journalist chick, they introduce her as kind of a love interest, and I'm like, please.
Well,
yes.
yeah, but that's
I'm all about
the
that
jealous
chick.
lover.
Right.
Step
Yeah.
would be the jealous lover. The anime thing.
We also get the story behind why he never got into UA. He was trying to get into UA, and like on the day of the exams, he was going there, but on his way there, there was a commotion. They found there was a kid in the canal who got stuck in the canal and was essentially drowning. They didn't know how to swim, and so he jumps into the water, saves them, and it takes up a lot of his time, and he ends up missing the exam and can't get into UA. And so at that point, he's just like, fine, I'll just go to a regular high school, and just kind of never looks back, which is really interesting. And then we learned that kid was Pop Step. So it's really, really interesting stuff.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's neat. So everything's kind of connected, and
Why'd you fall in the water if you can jump real high?
He's such a... Well, she was very young at this time. Like, everyone thought she was a boy. Okay. So, like, we...
that other Japanese troop.
Yeah, so we assume that either her quirk hadn't manifested yet or she didn't know how to really use it, so... Or maybe that is how she got into the water, was by jumping, and then she had nothing to jump off of when she got in the water.
Maybe.
That's probably what it was.
Kids fall in water all the time.
But yeah, he's really upset because he lost his favorite hoodie. He was wearing like a special edition hoodie, All Might hoodie that day.
Oh my God.
And he lost it doing that.
Yeah.
Or no, he gave it to her because she was cold and shivering, so he just gave her the jacket and ran off to try and get to the exam, but he missed it. Right. So she still has the hoodie because she's
hilarious,
creepy and cute.
Also,
but yeah,
because she's got to have a crush on him.
Yeah. I'm
Eventually.
just like, that's fine, I guess, but just be a better part of the team. So, which I mean, she does all right. She's the informant. That really is what she is, because she has later on we meet a couple of her fans, and she definitely has a squad who she can always just kind of go to for information. Mm-hmm. She's like, hey, we're looking for a guy like this, or if you know of anything crazy going on in this area, yada yada, and she usually gets information back pretty quickly. So she's the source of info for the team as they're trying to figure out who's giving out the trigger drug and how to stop it and all that nonsense. And yeah, so she is useful. She's just not useful in a fight. But they do some crazy stuff in this show, or in this manga, which will eventually be a show.
Eventually, hopefully
so. I so want it to happen. Like, I'm so down. This is probably the only spinoff I've ever been this down for.
Well, there's a movie coming out soon, so I don't know what exactly the details of it, but I know there's a My Hero Academia movie coming.
Right.
Which can be considered a spin-off, but
Yeah, I guess.
it's not going to be part of the main storyline.
Right. I don't know if I've ever considered like movies like that spin-offs.
Yeah.
But I guess that is technically what they can be considered. Well, that's neat. Yeah. It's such a cool thing to watch, because I feel like even though like probably a lot of people can say they relate to Deku, I think I can relate more to Koichi.
Yeah.
Because I've been through high school, I've been through college. I have a little
With
bit
no
of skills.
superpower.
Yeah, with no superpower. I have a little bit of skills, in my drawing and my talents that I'm trying to develop, and I feel like I'm stuck at this part in my life where I'm supposed to be an adult and I'm supposed to be figuring some things out and getting better at things and doing the things that I like and that I love, and that I'm not the best at those things that I love, but I still do them. And so I really like Koichi a lot, and I feel like Koichi's my boy. He's so
I'm sure I'll feel the same whenever I read more into it. But
yeah.
he seems like a lovable character.
Yeah, he really does. Knuckle Duster is interesting too, and we're getting a little bit more background on him as well. He's so cool. But yeah, we're learning that there might be a little bit more reason behind why he's so angry and upset, and what exactly his motives are.
An angry old man.
Yeah, he is. So, yeah, it's a good show. I would not be surprised if they link it back somehow to All for One. Like perhaps this is a division, because Homegirl with the bees is working for someone else who's divvying out the trigger.
Yeah,
who we've seen a little bit of, and I wouldn't be surprised if they link him back to All for One somehow, as being like maybe another one of the. Is it Shigaraki? Is he the one that with all the hands? Like being another guy like that who's just like an underling who's trying to do his own little project.
Yeah.
But yeah, I would not be surprised if they link it back to that somehow. And it would be so cool to see Koichi and the group meet up with some of the main characters in the thing.
Crossover territory.
Oh my gosh, that'd be fun. But again, they'd have to catch up, because chronologically we are not in the same place that My Hero Academia is. Because Ingenium, again, is still running around just fine. And Stained, although he's had a bit of a psychic break, he's not exactly who he is when we see him in the comic. So yeah, but it's cool to see what regular people are with quirks, how they kind of handle it. Because like I think about if I were in this world, if I had a quirk, and for whatever reason I never had the opportunity to get a license to use my quirk, I totally want to be a superhero. It's like I don't understand how anyone in this world chooses not to be a superhero, but I guess there are other jobs that you have to do, right?
Yeah.
Koichi works at a convenience store and goes to college.
I mean, it's in this real life situation, you could probably think of it as like you can go join the military or the police force or something. Like,
right.
Might not be the most glamorous thing to go do in a normal society where superheroes are normal.
Yeah, because even the police there, they take oaths to not use quirks.
Yeah.
The police force in this world, which is an interesting.
Yeah, and unnecessary.
I don't understand. I don't.
Like, let's make us useless.
Yeah,
please,
of all the people who
heroes.
should have ability to use their quirks, whatever. Anywho, I think I want to talk a little bit about spin-offs and what makes a good one, because I feel like this is a perfect example of a great one.
Oh yeah.
And what's not so great.
There are a lot of bad ones.
There's so many bad ones.
I don't usually go after spin-offs either, because
neither do I.
Spin-offs don't normally give anything to the major plot that's going on, or something that it's bounced off of. Excuse me. But
most of them are just hopping aboard the money train.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
Like the freaking Attack on Titan high school or junior high.
Oh my god!
I
saw that when I was working at the bookstore, and I was
it's just like I'm gonna stay so far away from that. You have no idea, like, because it's just like you're not adding anything. You're taking us out of the normal line of the story, putting us either in a completely fictitious situation or in a situation that has no bearing on the actual thing, and we're not learning anything about the world.
And it's completely unnecessary.
Yes, it's just an attempt at fan service, which I feel isn't even a very good one. Like, if you were going to make a spin-off that's fan service, this is it.
Yeah.
This is really cool because it continues to build the world. From Deku and the students' side of things, we get to see the amazing ridiculousness of professional heroes and ridiculous villains, as well as the really cool concept of a school for kids who are going through all this angsty period of their life and learning how to deal with their quirks. We get a real sort of like X-Men type look at it that way. And then we come over to this level, which when I thought about this, I made an analogy, like a comparison in my mind. It was like, My Hero Academia is like the Avengers, the MCU, and this show is like the Defenders.
Yeah.
And then I watched a review and someone said that, and I was like, dang it! I thought of it first. It was in my head. It was in my head. I know it was.
But his is written. His is copyrighted.
But his is on YouTube.
Too slow.
Yeah, too slow. But that is really what this is, though. It's just a different. It's the same world with a different look.
Yeah.
And different characters with different motivations and different needs. Which is really fascinating and super fun and cool. There's a series of books that I really like called The Dragon Riders of Pern by Anne McCaffrey, which is fantastic sci-fi fantasy about a planet called Pern, which humans have colonized super far into the future, but they've all forgotten their past, their super high-tech past, and they've all basically reverted into like basically what we would assume a medieval community to be. But there's dragons there.
They're dragons.
Super
There's
big
magic?
dragons.
Is there magic?
There's no magic.
Oh,
There's
lame.
just dragons.
Just dragons.
And there's this really
Game of
vicious
Thrones here.
alien that rains from the sky called Thread, and they have to burn the thread with the dragons. And it's really neat and interesting. The dragons can teleport, which is pretty sweet.
Okay. All of them?
Yes. They're all capable of
normal.
traveling through the void.
Fusroda.
It's real interesting. It's such a cool series. But so the original one is a trilogy called The Dragon Riders of Pern. There's a Dragonflight, Dragon Wings, and the White Dragon. And then outside of that, she also wrote, and some of her sons wrote, other trilogies and other books about other things happening on Pern during the same time, and a little bit about the history of Pern, when people first got there and colonized it, how the dragons were made, all of these different things. She just builds this whole world, and she goes through, a couple of them are really going through the same timeline as the original trilogy, just told from different groups of people, not just a different character, but an entirely different group. Maybe that has nothing to do with the dragons, but had to deal with some of the things that came about because of the dragons being there or not being there. So really, really interesting stuff. I love that kind of thing. And that's what this is. Whereas other things like Attack on Titan Junior High is not that. Yeah. Or things like, I know we mentioned Dragon Ball GT, which at this point basically is a spin-off. It's not canon.
It's not even...
It's nothing at all.
It's never been canon because
that's right.
That wasn't written by the original writer.
Yeah, it was just... Toriyama just gave them some character designs, right? And he's like, here, have fun with that.
Yep.
And that's what they did.
And then he came back and was like, no, let's do something actually
nah.
for real. Dragon Ball Super is amazing.
Yeah, I hear it.
One of the best anime on
That's
TV
actually free to read. The manga version of that is free to read on Viz Media, so I might start doing that.
Sponsored. No, we're not sponsored.
Sponsored. No, yeah, so I think if you're going to do a spin-off, in my personal opinion, I think it should be a well-written, world-building one. Or maybe you go entirely opposite and you go not involved at all. Maybe same world, different time period, different characters.
Prequel.
Yeah, prequel. That'd be fine. I feel like that would be a better thing than, let's take the characters we like and put them in a high school, or let's talk about this other random character, or let's give you the origin story of a character. And I'm like, then we get a trilogy about how Anakin became Darth Vader, and I'm like, this is really boring. Just leave that to our imaginations and let's get something else, please.
Pretty bad. And we have something like Young Sheldon, which is a spinoff from, what's that show called?
The Big Bang Theory.
Yeah, that Big Bang Theory.
No thanks.
Who thought that was a good idea?
Oh my god, really? Yeah,
the TV ratings, man.
Or Joey off of Friends.
Oh,
I'm
Lord.
like, don't don't do this. No one character in a sitcom is going to be able to carry a show by themselves.
Not at all.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Just
bad examples.
Yes.
Examples of bad, I'd rather.
What are some good spin-offs we can think of?
One that came to my mind was Better Call Saul, actually. It's a Breaking Bad spin-off.
So I've heard that's good.
Yeah, it's extremely good. It's arguably almost as good, if not better, than Breaking Bad.
How does it work? How does it function?
So Breaking Bad, it takes place with a science teacher making meth and selling it on the street.
Probably spoilers for Breaking Bad, guys.
Oh my god, the blue stuff.
I don't. I will never watch it, so you can spoil whatever you want.
It's really good though. You really should, honestly.
Okay, sure.
But anyway, this guy makes.
Once I finish my Netflix list,
they might put it on Netflix. Who knows? But eventually, down the road, Walter, who is the main character, comes into need of money laundering for his cells. He sells so much of it, he gets millions and millions of dollars that he has to find ways to insert it into cash flow of a normal, situation. And he also has his partner helps him and stuff. But anyway, he has to go to this lawyer to help with that, to make it legal and stuff like that. And his name is Saul Goodman, and he was so great in Breaking Bad that they decided to give him his own show. And the show takes place before Breaking Bad, the events of Breaking Bad, because in the show of Breaking Bad, they all have to or at least Saul has to disappear. He has to change his identity and stuff like that. But anyway, this is before the fall. And it takes place of his lawyering, and he's usually defending petty theft, little criminals and stuff. And but now he's starting to work his way up because he's taken. He's friends with a hitman who is very well versed in his craft, and he helps him on occasion. And
that reminds me, I want to see the movie The Hitman's Bodyguard.
Yeah.
Anyway, please continue. So I mentioned that.
But it's all about Saul and his life with his brother, who is complete complete jerk to him. And it's really good. It's really good.
That sounds cool. Yeah, and I think good concept there. You take a character that everybody likes already, and you're not necessarily. It's not. I wouldn't call that a prequel. It's just hey, this is what this guy was up to for a little while. Yeah, which is similar to what this is. What My Hero Academia Vigilantes is that although it didn't pull any characters that we loved from My Hero Academia to give them more value, it gave us new characters in a similar time or a little bit before, and just allowed us to see what they're up to and what's going on in this world, this same world that we already know we like because we like the main series. And then occasionally we get a couple cameos from people that we like, right? Keep us interested. But if the main characters weren't interesting enough, but they already are. And that's cool. I like that. Yeah. We're not trying to... It's not young Saul. And we're not trying to just... It's a hard comparison because I don't think any... I say this. I don't think any drama show, if they were going to do a spinoff, would just take their characters and put them in a funny comedic situation a high school.
No.
Yeah, that's not something we do in Western TV, but that's something that they totally do in anime and manga. Well, manga specifically. Oh man.
Unless they have an animated spinoff.
Please,
please don't go into that territory. Who wants to see Attack on Titan High School in motion?
Yeah,
not high.
If any spinoffs get any anime treatment, it should be this one.
Yeah,
hardcore.
Absolutely.
I'm super happy with everything that I've read, and apparently, I think it comes out on Saturdays.
What's that?
The new chapters of Vigilantes. So I'm waiting week to week for chapters now.
That's pretty cool. Don't have to depend on those fan subs.
Yeah, it is cool, and I will definitely buy the printed versions of this manga. I will support this outright. It's great. It's super cool. it's such a cool series. Oh man. And there's some other new stuff on Viz Media or Viz Manga that's really cool, but I hope it's in it. There's a manga called Promised Neverland. It looks
sounds very
dope.
Promising.
It is. Oh, got him. Oh, but it's so cool. It's so cool this far. It's like
what's it about?
It's like a dystopian horror-esque thing.
Oh yeah.
Open up and it's this orphanage and everybody's great and happy, and there's this one lady that leads the orphanage, and you've got these older kids that are all 11 that sort of help take care of all the other kids. Everybody's really happy-go-lucky. They have these tests they take during the day, which equates to for their school, which is really interesting and high-tech looking. Like they all have these big desks that are like tablets essentially, and they can write on them, and that's how they take their tests. And it's really intense. But anyway, occasionally kids get taken off and adopted, right? And
quote unquote.
Quote unquote. We see Emma, who's the main character, and one of the other 11-year-olds whose name escapes me. So it's Emma and these two boys are the 11-year-olds. And Emma and one of the boys, they don't get adopted. One of the little kids gets adopted. And that night, they notice that the little kid left her stuffed animal. And so they take the stuffed animal, and they know, because there's a gate around the complex. It's like it's pretty far out. The wall is anyway. So they go to the gate because they know that they typically spend the night there before they head out to be adopted. So they're bringing her stuffed animal, but they know they're not supposed to be there. So they're trying to do it sneakily, and they're sneaking around this truck, and they're just going to throw it into the truck, I think. And they open it up, and they find the corpse of this girl that was supposed to be adopted.
Oh.
And they had like a mental break because they're children seeing the corpse of a younger child
who they knew previously.
Yes, so they hide under the truck, and because they hear someone coming, and they come, like basically these demons, gnarly looking crazy demons, come out, and they pick up the corpse, and they basically put it into like have you ever seen like what they keep like specimen in for like biology labs and things?
Yeah,
put it into
mason jar.
Yeah, put it in this jar with liquid and seal it.
Yeah,
it's a big thing.
Too baby.
And then we see the mother, the lady that's leading the orphanage, basically having a conversation with these guys, and it essentially is, you learn through the context of what the demons are saying, that these are tasty or whatever, that they eat these children. They are essentially a farm for demons.
Interesting.
And it's crazy. It's such
crazy.
a gnarly concept to start with. And so it's basically like just these kids are trapped there, and it's them coming to the realization that everything they know is a lie and having to plan to escape. They're like, we can't just escape just the two of us, or even just the three of us older kids. If we leave here, we're taking everyone with us. And so it just becomes, I've read the first 3 chapters that are free to read, the rest you have to pay for, but its central concept is them trying to figure out how to outsmart their mother, or quote-unquote mother,
guardian,
their guardian, to get all of the kids out at the same time. And the three older kids, the 11-year-olds, are very, very intelligent. And so seeing them sort of figure some things out and plan stuff is really, really neat. And it looks like it's going to be real stressful, because it's already been real stressful. So I feel like this one will probably be very, very popular, and we'll probably get an anime adaptation. So
yeah, there's a Junji, which is a horror manga. I think it started off as a webcomic or something like that. It's getting an anime adaptation, so we might start seeing a lot more horror stuff coming out.
Yeah, I mean, I think with the success of some of them lately, like things like Tokyo Ghoul, and I guess in a certain degree Psychopaths, even though it's more of a thriller, stress kind of thing. But the success of anime like that, I think, is going to bring up more of the same, right?
Yeah, and now that like horror is actually starting to pick up in the West, they might try to, zero in on that sort of things, because we compound ideas off of each other.
We do.
The Japanese like the Americans, Americans like the Japanese.
There's a reason there are so many superhero manga and anime popping up. Season 2 of One Punch Man, bro.
Yeah, that's gonna be
I'm so ready. Oh, I'm so excited. We should do a One Punch Man episode. I think we've done that.
Yeah. I might have to go back and rewatch it.
I'll gladly rewatch it. That anime's great. I watched like a compilation of funny moments recently, and I was just like, man, this anime is so good. You saved my life.
I can see if they don't go deep into it, I can see them doing a spin-off of Geno.
Genos? Yeah. I can see that too. Yeah. I'd be okay with that too.
Especially if Vigilantes takes off.
Yeah.
Well enough, which it probably will because it's part of My Hero Academia, and that's like the biggest thing in
Right,
Japan
yeah.
right now.
It's pretty huge at the moment.
Thanks, Shonen.
Man. What other predictions can we make? Well, I mean, there are several spin-offs of things that exist right now that I guess maybe aren't getting a whole lot of traction, like Fairy Tail. There are like 4 spin-off mangas of Fairy Tail, like covering other smaller characters and things of that nature. And I'm just like, I haven't watched Fairy Tail. Like, I've watched 2 episodes of Fairy Tail.
One of my coworkers watched a lot of it apparently, and he told me about it, and I was like, I'm watching One Piece.
Yeah, it just hasn't grabbed me, and it essentially seems very much to be like a One Piece thing that's going to last forever. It's from a guy that I believe worked with the guy that made One Piece. He worked under Oda. Oda-san. I love the guy that makes it. The guy that made the manga for Fairy Tail. Gosh, I can't remember his name. Hold on one second.
This is very important.
This bothers me so much. It's very important. I'm sure you can look it up on your phone faster than I can do this.
But I'm going to let you do that since you're already so immersed in looking for it. Hi guys, how you doing?
There it is. Hiro Mashima.
Hino Mashima.
Hiro. With an R.
Hiro.
Hiro Mashima.
We won't make you wait till next week for this.
Hiro, like the main character of Big Hero 6.
Oh my god, that show.
Hiro. So Hiro Mashima, he made one of my favorite manga in the world, Rave Master. That was one of his first big things.
Oh yeah, you told me about that before.
Yeah.
I remember you telling me.
And he's gone on to make Fairy Tail. He's also made another short one called Monster Soul. He's basically doing what I want to do with my life, which is just making manga, which is great. I love him so much. I love that he's seen success and that he's had multiple successful series. I think that's really great to see for manga artists. I'm glad when that happens. Happy Kishimoto's getting success with Boruto as well as Naruto. So.
Yeah, which is, technically a
spinoff, yes, which... I'm okay with him doing that, and if he's happy with it, I'm sure that's great. It's just that early on when I was reading Naruto, like years ago when I first started reading it when it first came here, in manga they often have pages between chapters that are just like little moments for the author. It's moments for the author to talk to you about stuff or do different things. And one of those things for Kishimoto was, hey, I love Naruto and all that, but there's this one that I'm working on or that I really want to be able to do. It's like my magnum opus. And it's like, this is my thing that I really want to do, and it's about things about modern era, like gangsters and things of that nature. And there's a little drawing from it. I'm like, that looks really cool. Hopefully you get to do that one day, buddy. But he just went straight from Naruto into Boruto, and I'm like,
which was,
not a bad financial decision.
Yeah,
but
it seems like he was kind of maybe pressured into it. But it's going well. So.
Almost certainly, I'm sure.
The writing apparently isn't that bad.
No,
so.
I'm sure it wouldn't be.
Well, I mean, depends on your opinion of Naruto. But
I guess.
But I've heard Boruto is
that is accurate.
Superior.
Full disclosure, I've never watched Shippuden.
Yeah, I stopped after the 10th filler in a row of Naruto, so that was fun.
Yeah, good stuff. Yeah.
I watched it for a little while.
Don't worry about that in manga.
Oh man,
the superior medium ?
And all filler are spinoffs.
That's it. Yeah, I guess that's true. Can we make any outlandish predictions of things that might get spinoffs? If Vigilantes does super well, which I believe the manga is doing well at the moment because it's been
Sword Art's getting a spinoff.
Really?
Yeah, I can't remember what it's called, but I know for a fact that
I heard that more. I did hear that more stuff was coming. I didn't know it was of the spinoff.
It's not necessarily prediction, but it's actual factual
Right.
information.
Yes. Thank you for your factual information, Eddie. Is it? What do we know? What do we know about it?
I didn't read into it at all.
Excellent.
I was like, oh, Sword Art's getting.
Thank you for all the information.
Important.
For coming prepared. No, you're good. What could be spun off because of this? Or what are some spin-offs that you wouldn't mind seeing?
Okay, you're probably not gonna like this idea, but I wouldn't mind seeing a Food Wars spin-off.
Eddie claims I wouldn't like this idea because I don't like Food Wars because I disapprove of the fan service in it, which is all entirely accurate. Sure, fine.
I wouldn't mind seeing like how Soma's dad came to work in his food areas. He has a restaurant, but he often takes trips to other chefs' areas and stuff like that. So seeing him come up doing that stuff would be pretty interesting, I think. What about you?
So I have not finished this series yet, so don't kill me. But I have not finished Death Note yet.
I haven't started Death Note.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Well, then, listeners,
man.
you don't kill me. You can kill Eddie, though. So, like, the first thing I ever saw about it, well, that's not true. I read the first couple chapters of the manga whenever Shonen Jump first serialized it. When they were first, because they used to do, like, previews in their monthly Shonen Jump issues of manga they were going to put out straight to graphic novel, and Death Note was one of them. So I read the first couple chapters of that, and I was like, that's pretty cool. I really like the illustrator. The illustrator does the illustrations for Hikaru no Go, which is a manga that I did read and did love. So I was like, that seems all right. The first thing I watched for it was I watched the Netflix movie, which David and I reviewed, and then he spoiled a lot of the anime for me. But I've had various parts of the anime spoiled for me 100 times over. So like I know how it's going to end, and I know a lot of the major deaths and stuff already. But it's still fun to watch. I've been watching it with Anna, and it's been a lot of fun. So eventually I'll finish that. But because I know the ending of it, and I guess spoiler if you don't want to, if you haven't seen Death Note for some reason, if you're
me,
also strange. But
oh, wow,
the main I haven't seen it either. The main character. Do you care?
I know already.
Right, yeah, okay. I figured it's a spoiler that probably everybody knows. The main character dies at the end. Spoiler alert. Light dies. But we're given the understanding early on in the anime that he can't go to heaven or hell. He has to become a Shinigami. I want to see that.
Yeah.
I want to see something with Light and I guess Ryuk doing crazy afterlife shenanigans being Shinigami. I would love to see that.
That would probably be interesting.
I think that would be super cool.
I can see how that would be interesting in that scenario.
Yes. We just build more of the world. We'd see it from a different perspective, even though it's technically the same character. We could just see other things happen. And I'm just like, ha 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 ha. How nuts would it be if he's essentially been living like a Shinigami, but he's been having to hide it, right? Because he's a human. But now he is a Shinigami. Who does he have to answer to now? Like he could just like
nobody.
the
Soul Society.
Because like if you think of it that way, he technically won. Like he didn't live to see the world that he wanted to create, but he can technically just go ahead and make that now with no repercussions, unless we want to introduce we know of, unless we want to introduce more gods to this realm, which I'm fine with. Let's bring in more intrigue. That's fine. I think that would be a really cool.
That would be another. I mean, that would be a conflict that would be interested in describing or written about. Giving free ideas here. There's money. That's cash money.
Yes, agreed. And that's something else that Viz Media runs. So I mean, I'm sure they could pull some strings and pressure some people into making spin-offs that they don't want to make. But
money.
Yeah. Gosh, yes. So I think that would be really, really cool.
You got me excited for that. Now I want to go see Death Note.
Right?
Because I know the basic plot of it and stuff, and that would be an interesting story afterward.
It's cool. Yeah. Yes. Goodness gracious. What else? I mean, there's some anime that I just wish were finished. We'd get more episodes. But I guess that technically wouldn't be a spin-off.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of things.
Hashtag
I wasn't
Devil's
prepared
a
for this.
part-timer.
Oh man, I wasn't even finished. I see what you mean. That was really good too.
It was so good.
I'm amazed.
And it has spin-offs.
Yeah, it does.
The manga, so it's originally a light novel. It was turned into an anime. It's been turned into a manga. It's gotten a spin-off that I think is either in manga or light novel form of there's like a high school version of that. And I'm like, it's not the spin-off I would like. I would like you a better one, but still, like it has a fan base. Yeah. Obviously, that's supporting it.
I think it'll get picked up again. I think because the anime that was done was actually very interesting.
It was great, and I just hope they can capture the same magic because it's one of the few animes that I think the dub is spectacular for.
I haven't seen it.
You haven't seen the dub, which is fine.
I've seen the sub. But
Sub's good. I think it's good to watch the sub and then go watch the dub, because the dub, it's a funny anime with a lot of jokes, and when you watch the sub, it's all the Japanese colloquial type jokes. But when you watch the dub, I think they did a very good job of translating things into what we would perceive as funny in our culture. I think they did a great job.
Well, that's good. Check that out.
It's so
that sounds pretty good.
It is so good. Urushihara is my spirit animal. I love him so much. And Mal. I love every character in that show. I want to cosplay Mal really hard. Gosh, spin-offs.
I'm gonna have to look up anime to see what kind of spin-offs. I can't even think of any. You put me on the spot, and I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't watch anime. Wait, I do.
I'm gonna have to look at my my bookshelf full of manga.
MyAnimeList.com.
Yeah, I guess I should probably use that.
It's actually pretty good. Sponsored? No, sponsored.
Oh man.
No, I like their listings of top animes, because it's actually pretty good, because it's all voted by fan base and stuff like that.
Okay,
so
that makes sense. Man, how do we feel about like series that have different renditions every time, but I guess aren't technically spin-offs? Because like all the Gundam series are all different every time. Or in different time periods or whatever it might be. And then there's got things like Final Fantasy.
Yeah. So Final Fantasy has like
they do have spin-offs.
Yeah,
yes.
like Tactics and
Is Tactics a spin-off?
Yep. It most certainly is.
Of what?
Of Final Fantasy.
But it's just a different type of Final Fantasy game. It's even got a different story and everything. When I think spin-off of Final Fantasy, I think like they're just Cerberus.
Yeah.
Or like, I guess 10-2. Well, no, 10-2 is just more like a proper sequel, I guess.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Like, okay, these top animes, I'm like, I've not seen any of these actually.
We're so poorly versed in this thing we have a podcast about.
Right.
I mean, okay. Given that, I guess technically filler can be assumed as spin-off. Would you? All right, no, I'm not. I'm gonna phrase this differently. Eddie, you've been tasked with creating a good spin-off of One Piece. What do you do and how do you do it?
You
and
focus
how do you make
it
good?
on Goldie Roger and his adventures.
Who the heck is that? Look, I told you what I know. I know nothing about this series.
He is the pirate who made One Piece.
Okay, got you. Okay, that makes sense.
His treasure is the One Piece.
That makes sense. Yeah, so, he's the one at the very beginning of the manga who's like, I left all my treasure in One Piece.
But
everybody's like, what?
So yeah, and seeing his adventure.
That reminds me of it's like the plot from the upcoming film Ready Player One.
Oh yeah.
Have you seen the new trailer for it?
I have, yes.
Yeah, because the creator of the game was just like, bro, I left this Easter egg.
Oh yeah.
Everybody who finds it's basically become a god. Good luck, bye.
Yeah.
I'm just like, what is this?
Yeah. It's like that's One Piece.
Oh,
no, I thought about that whenever I saw it. I was like, oh, that's just an anime.
Well, yeah. It's a book, but yeah.
Yeah, you know.
I kind of want to read it.
I was referring to it was copying One Piece.
Right, yes, definitely.
But yeah, I think Goldie Roger would be a good subject, but Oda really, really loves backstory. Like, he loves backstory so much. And he does a lot of it in the anime and the manga.
So, this is a fun spoilery question for you, just while we're talking about One Piece.
Sure.
How much have we learned about Shanks? Because I would love to just know everything about Shanks. Let's do a spin-off of Shanks.
Okay, fine.
Oh
but
my gosh.
I think they're saving that. I think he is like the final boss.
Right, yeah, so. I'm sure he is.
And we'll get tons of
That's what I figured, because I mean, like, what is it? He basically told Luffy at the beginning, it's just like,
come give this hat back to me.
Yeah,
whenever
you're the king or whatever, yeah.
And
gosh, he's cool.
Yeah, he is really cool.
Gosh,
but we don't know anything.
So much.
Like, he showed up at the beginning. We get a little bit about him during the Mount War. Mount, what's it called? There was a war the middle of the. You don't know it. Don't worry.
I will not stray myself. Thank you.
Like in the middle, there's a war between the Whitebeard pirates and
the Blackbeard pirates.
yes, actually, you're right. Blackbeard is a major part in that.
Yes.
But anyway, spoiler alert. That's when Ace dies. You don't know who Ace is.
I don't, so it doesn't matter.
Jesus Christ. But yeah, no, that's like the only time we see Shanks again.
Right.
Like in current character form. We haven't seen him since this time skip, which is.
And you watched the anime, correct?
Yes, I watched the anime. I don't read the manga.
Gotcha.
The manga.
Yes, say it right, please.
But he is one of the 4 emperors of the final stretch. They've already taken out one of them. Wait, I don't remember.
Shanks is one of the 4 emperors.
Yes.
Gotcha.
It's Big Mama, Shanks, and Beast Guy. I don't know what his name is, and I think Don Flamingo was one of them. Don't quote me on that. I don't actually remember if he was one of the 4 emperors. I think he was. But anyway, Luffy started to take one down.
Do all these emperors have devil fruit powers?
Absolutely.
Does Shanks have a devil fruit? Yeah, because he didn't seem to have one.
I know Big Mama has one.
He must not whenever Luffy first appears because he can swim.
Yeah, true. You're right. He might not have one.
So strange.
And that might be one of the deciding factors of One Piece or something like that. But that would screw Luffy out of it. So anyway, who knows what One Piece is? Nobody knows what One Piece is. The internet's gonna break that day. Once that's revealed, the internet is going to blow up.
I wonder if
Japan's gonna sink.
Like I wonder if Oda knows. Like I wonder.
Oh yeah, no, he's totally got.
I wonder how long he's known. I wonder if he's known since day one.
I don't know, but he's got.
Because what was it? I mean, like I think. Oh gosh, Rowling. J.K. Rowling.
Yeah.
I think she said one of the first things she ever wrote was the last chapter
yeah.
of 7.
She had it sealed up in her mystical magic vault under Hogwarts.
Oda knew the end from the beginning.
But I think it's that case. Like he has an endpoint in mind.
Yeah, I imagine.
Now getting there is definitely messy and a lot of different things happening, and the pacing's all over the place. At least for the anime. Because the anime just doesn't stop. Like, it's never stopped.
Right.
As opposed to the seasonal things like My Hero Academia.
Right. So just keep throwing filler out whenever they don't have anything.
Yeah, exactly. And I was starting to lose interest. Like, there's multiple places where I've started to lose interest, but this
filler does horrible things for me. Like,
absolutely.
I was so turned off of the De Grey Man anime when I realized that I had watched half of season.
I mean, that's why I stopped watching Bleach. That's why I stopped watching Naruto.
I mean,
and that's almost. I mean, I stopped watching One Piece 3 times in a row, and I restarted it like every few years because I couldn't get past. What's it called the cloud area.
Cloud Cuckoo?
Skypia. That's what his name is.
Yeah.
Skypia. God, that was so boring. But the anime causes a lot of pacing problems, and this most recent arc got so boring. Like it's like please something happen. But now it's starting to pick up again. It's like yes, Otis is writing again. But anyway, yeah, Goldie Roger. The one who made One Piece would probably be my spinoff go-to. Cool. But I mean, again, there's probably going to be like a whole arc devoted to him in the actual anime. So
yeah, that might be.
Who knows? But he's dead. Like he's definitely he was executed.
Yeah, that's the last thing he said before he was died.
He might be. Who knows? He might have like a devil fruit that makes him rebirth, or something like that. Into Luffy.
That's the trick. One Piece is just a machine that'll bring him back to life at the cost of whoever opens it.
Oh my god, that would be crazy.
He'll be back like, what's up, guys?
I think as long as Oda doesn't do the whole "it was the journey" thing, that I'm afraid that might happen. But as long as he doesn't do that, I think then One Piece will be fine, even without like spinoffs or anything. But
What if there's a bomb planted in the center of the planet?
I mean, it could be because there's been a lot of like references to a world-ending weapon
with 1 billion space bugs.
Yeah.
Sorry, that was a very obscure reference to an anime that I reviewed on this podcast called Coyote Ragtime Show.
Ethan's making fun of me, apparently.
No, it's all good.
No, but I think it would be fine even if it didn't have a spinoff or anything like that.
Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
And if they did go for spinoff, I think they would go for Goldie Rogers' adventures.
Cool.
Previous to his death. Because there's a lot of like little pieces of info here and there about what he did before. And it would be interesting.
Little nuggets of wisdom we'd like to know more about. Yeah, I get that. Totally down for something like that. That's really cool. And I think we'll leave that question to our listeners as well. We've come to the end. I think Vigilantes is a fantastic spinoff for My Hero Academia. I cannot recommend it enough. Read it, support it. Anime is a wonderful thing.
It is.
As is manga.
Mm-hmm.
And when people love it, and when more people love it and show their love by creating good spin-offs, we get to enjoy it even more. And that's a good spin-off does so many wonderful things for a series, and bad spin-offs and bad filler can just
destroy it.
Yeah.
Possibly. Or just, it doesn't
or be
affect
literally
it at
nothing. Yeah. I look at it and just like, nope, that does nothing for me. But anyway, what if you were given control of a spin-off, what would you do? What series would you like to spin off? What story would you like to do? Let us know. Comment, subscribe. You can hit us up on Twitter at TNYKPod. We're on Facebook, Those Nerds You Know. Also YouTube, Those Nerds You Know. We are available on iTunes, and at this point, we're available on a lot of other places that you can get podcasts. So we're on Podbean, we're on Stitcher now, we're on CastBox. We're on the Google Play Store as well.
Wow.
Got that going on.
Nice.
Yeah, we've figured it all up. iTunes, if I didn't mention that. Podbean. So yeah, just on whatever platform you feel like listening to us, do it. Subscribe to us. We put out new podcasts every week. Thanks for listening. Yeah, that's about it. My name's Ethan.
I'm Eddy.
And we are Those Nerds You Know.
Bye.
Bye.